Welcome to Podcast of All Podcasts. Enjoy best moments of podcast history.
TV on the radio with Wolf Like Me. Joe Rogan with Anthony Bourdain.
Yes, Bruce Lee and Michael Jordan together. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. With a little bit of Dalai Lama.
Who else is left? How many guys are left?
true artists, I don't know, and I wouldn't even like to think about it. I know there's somebody out there.
There's just small handfuls.
I probably, it's probably someone whose food I've eaten, and I'm too stupid to have recognized that it was historic and great.
Well, even the craftsmen, even if you're just recreating classic dishes, I don't give a fuck. When someone's really good at it, it comes through as an art. I see what you're saying. They might not be the innovators. They might not be at the head of the field.
I mean, there are a lot of really great innovative chefs out there. But art, I set a high standard,
High standard for the
talking
word
Picasso
art.
here, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a fucking comedian, man. We call comedy art. Some people would call this the art of podcasting. It gets ridiculous.
Yeah, I will go to my grave without having created any art. I'm pretty damn sure.
Really? Oh wow, you think that? That's funny because I think your book is art, man. You don't think that's art?
If you start talking about yourself like that, then you start talking about yourself in the third person, and after that, there's
beautiful that
really
you
nothing left to do but get arrested, having beaten a transsexual hooker to death.
It's beautiful that you think like that. That's why you're you, man. It's a beautiful way to think.
That is the road to madness and incarceration.
True. Yeah, talking about yourself as an artist, stepping back, and as an artist, I feel as an artist, ever since I've been writing books, as an artist, yeah, it's. I
don't see what I do. Anything that I do is essentially that much different than standing on a line and one chef or cook among many, making food. You're building something or making something as best you can. You're showing up at work on time, doing the best job you can. Hopefully you're having fun doing it. So they aren't that different. I don't see telling stories on television or talking about yourself on television. I don't see as being essentially any different, or certainly no better than actually working for a living.
Right. I see what you're saying. That you are one of those guys that you could just be. Anyone could know you as that guy that you work with a great personality, who's funny, likes to talk shit about things, kind of an interesting guy. He could be a TV star. If somebody just put a camera on him, this guy needs his own reality show. How many people do you know like that? I've known thousands of them. My friend Johnny B. My best friend was a professional pool hustler. He was halfway homeless, so he was sleeping on my couch, other people's couches, and he was a genius. He could throw math problems at him. He would recreate them. A guy like that would make a great reality show.
I think if television has taught us anything, it's that complete mediocrity is enough to have your own reality show. There's that. It's all about your willingness to play ball. You look at those kids on Jersey Shore. Does this situation drive a Bentley to work, and then he's got to sleep on a cot with a bunch of other boneheads, right. Who he hates, You know what I mean?
Is that really how the show works? They all hang out together, right?
Well, they all live in a house, right? Or they used to.
During shooting season, the rest,
no, the rest. Right?
He's not taking a moped home at this point.
The way I look at him is good for him. What else would he be doing?
I see this as a Greek tragedy, actually. It really.
Really?
The whole dynamic of the show. They're trying hard. They by now they know the terrible rules of television. It's not about looking good. They got that early on. But now it's just they know how to play ball. They got a good thing. They got a good gig, and they're milking it for as long as they can. But look at the Real Housewives chain. It's like, does anyone go on the Real Housewives thinking that they're going to look good? That's not what the show's about. It's about making people sitting on couches with a bag of chips, saying, "Man, those people are even way more fucked up than me. And what have they done to their faces? Who buys that? Look at those lips. What human has lips like that?"
And that's the chick who her husband just committed suicide, and then his business partner committed suicide too.
Foul play.
You think so?
That's what everyone's saying.
It's all about showing up to work every day, knowing that your job is everyone who watches will feel better about themselves, and be snickering at me, at my cartoonish behavior.
It is fascinating that the trend of reality television took off. That this idea of just following housewives or following guys driving on slippery roads.
Yeah.
Ice Road Truckers is a show about driving on a slippery road. How silly is that? There's auction shows and all these.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the worst thing that ever happened in history or the best.
It's weird. I don't think it's worse or the best, but it's definitely weird. It's like
I do watch some of those shows, like Jersey Shore. I can watch only about 10 minutes of it before just my eyeball starts to explode. it's just too much. It's just too horrifying and yet fascinating. So I'm good for 10 minutes of thinking this is the greatest show that ever existed. After which I can't. It's too painful.
Meanwhile, that's pretty watered down, as far as like the low level behavior of this country. Have you seen the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia?
No.
The Johnny Knoxville documentary. You got to see it. It's awesome. Johnny Knoxville.
So few of these shows have really any relationship to reality at all. They've created this alternate reality where real people are behaving like the soap opera freaks that they're expected to behave like, and so your complicity in this whole terrible process of public self-humiliation, that's kind of fascinating.
Well, not only that they also they do these fake tasks, like things happen. Oh, no, we got to get down to DMV. I'm going to lose my license. Right. Sure you are. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is, like, they orchestrate fake drama and fake things that
I'm waiting for the day, that I get the phone call from my agent saying, we really think celebrity rehab is a good career move for you right now. That says something. But at what point does this seem strategically like a good career move? Celebrity rehab.
Yeah, you got to be pretty fucked up, especially if you're Eric Roberts and it's just weed. That guy was the weirdest one because he got on celebrity rehab because he said he was having a problem with weed, and then everybody else is shaking like a leaf, throwing up in sinks. He's having coffee, reading the paper. It looks like there's nothing wrong with him. Like, you don't need to be here, man.
But he knows the drill, though. He's got to have at least one freak out during the season.
Right. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Those are generally the rules of,
you get a bonus.
You're
He's just thinking cha-ching, cha-ching, Wells Fargo.
That's one of the most disturbing shows, Celebrity Rehab. Very, very, very disturbing. Hard to watch.
Wouldn't you be depressed, though? Like, if your agent called you up and said, listen, Joe, got a great offer, Celebrity Rehab. You're like, wow, what does it say about me? I would like go into the bathroom and stare in the mirror for a really long time saying, oh fuck,
what have I done?
That bad, right?
What have I done? Yeah.
That's why it's good to have friends back home where you're like freaking out too much. Oh my God, I'm drinking too much. What'd you do? We got wasted last night, blacked out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, good. All right, never mind. I'm fine.
Tony, our market research has shown us that audiences really want more footage of you vomiting.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of vomiting, man, you had that one episode where you took ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Was that legit?
Yeah, I did. I've taken a lot of LSD earlier in my life. So by the time I took ayahuasca for the first time, so I was like it was kind of like ecstasy in the sense that I'm sitting around waiting to get off.
It didn't work?
It did, but it was a big deal.
Really?
LSD. Now that's a drug.
Right.
That was my experience.
I think you got some low-level shit, and sometimes they do that. I've always heard that from the ayahuasqueros, that they water down the stuff they give to the gringos. They don't want anybody going crazy, running through the woods, seeing dragons and flying fucking serpents and UFOs and shit. But everybody that I know that's taken legit doses, has had crazy psychedelic vision.
Yeah, I mean, I went into the experience. It's this cottage, not a cottage, it's a shack up on stilts, as I recall, out in the middle of the jungle in the Amazon. We're like 6 hours by boat from any place, like resembling a place with a hospital. No lights. So I went into the experience with the expectation that it would be like the book, where I'd be crawling around naked in the jungle, shitting and puking for 6 hours before I discover my spirit animal. So this is what I thought I was going into. But honestly, I mean, I got off seriously, but it wasn't like acid.
Right.
So they gave you a weak dose.
Yeah, I mean, I gather. I didn't shit myself, so it was win-win, though.
How deep were you in acid? Like mini hits, or were you a 1 or 2, or did you like? Because I used to hang out with guys who would be like, I took 11 hits, and I'm like, what?
Right. No, I was not one of these guys who'd sit around like taking too much. I mean,
right.
You know when it's enough.
Right. Do you make your mushrooms into a risotto first, or do you do anything fancy?
Back in the day, we did marinate the mushrooms in honey. I think we marinated them in honey overnight or longer, and then would mix it into a big pot of hot tea, and the whole kitchen would be drinking this tea all night long.
Oh, marinate it in honey. That's how I make it a tea. That's my new thing.
I'm not suggesting you do that. We did it.
That's what they used to use to preserve mushrooms back in the day.
Honey?
Yeah, they used to preserve them in honey. They would dry them up and preserve them in honey, and they believed that's one of the ways that people started getting into alcohol, because honey can ferment and become mead. and that that eventually, like, this is like one of Terence McKenna's theories, that people went from being intoxicant oriented, like with psychedelic mushrooms, to alcohol oriented, and that somehow or another fucked society up. And at one time we got along way better. He has this.
I got a great bit
ideal.
of history actually, and I was reading about coffee lately. You know, when the first coffee houses in England were quickly declared illegal by the government. They saw these as hotbeds of sedition, and they closed them down. Why? Because up until that point in history, most Europeans and most people in England would wake up in the morning and drink mead. That's all they drank all day long. It was basically crude beer, homemade beer. So up until this point in history, when people started drinking coffee in these coffee houses, everybody in Europe could be counted on to be fucked up all day long. So so coffee houses were the first place in Europe where people would sit around in a state of sobriety. And as people tend to do, when you're sober, you notice shit. And they're like, hey, have you noticed our government's like really fucking us? So the government was right, of course, because this was the first time that people were actually drinking a beverage and hanging out with their wits about them. And that was seen as a really dangerous thing. Food for thought.
That's fascinating. Well, that's exactly what's going on with marijuana in this country. They're trying to keep that away from people. A good percentage of it is they're worried about people waking up. They're worried about people.
Marc Maron with Louis C.K.
And all the clubs started closing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make a living anymore, and I couldn't pay my rent. Like, that night was a huge, instant turning point. Everything from that night on in my life went badly.
Yeah.
For like 3-4 years.
I've always believed that, despite what you think, I think of you, that, out of anybody I know, and I've always said this, that if anybody, has the capacity to create, some genius in this fucking game, you're the guy.
Oh,
thanks. Because your work ethic is unique, and you very consciously let things get so fucking bad for yourself in order to see if you can rise from it. That's always been this weird ethic you had. That even when you were like, I remember one time in that fucking Chelsea apartment that you were surrounded by garbage. I mean, real garbage. There was garbage bags that were not being taken out, and I said, "Why don't you take this out?" And you just said, "I just can't do it."
I couldn't do it.
And there was dishes, there was stink in there.
Yep.
And then it was right around the same period where you shit yourself on purpose.
I don't think I ever really did that.
Oh, you don't?
I used to do a joke about that, but I don't think I ever really did that.
Okay.
I used to think about it like just shitting my pants and then cleaning it up and chalking it up to experience.
Right. But there was all this.
I don't think I ever did that.
Okay, all right.
I don't think so. I might have. I don't know.
But when was the transition? Now, I guess at that time when all the crap started hitting the fan, you got your first writing job, writing for Jon Stewart when he hosted the Carolines. Was that it? Was that the first writing job?
Colin Quinn hosted Caroline's Comedy Hour. Jon Stewart was the head writer.
And you were the writing for that?
Me and David Tell and Susie Essman were the writing staff.
And that started your writing career?
Yeah, that was the first writing job I had,
And then you went from there to Conan after a period of time?
Yep.
Because I think that's important, especially because a lot of comedians listen to this and a lot of people that are interested in comedy listen to it, that the thing that makes you that thing that evolved you into the great auteur that you are now and personal comedian was that you were one of these guys, like in my world, like after a certain point, me being jealous of you, it serves no purpose, because and people don't realize this when they listen to this, is that your automatic feeling is like, I'm a comedian, that guy's a comedian, why the fuck does he get that?
Right.
That people don't realize it, and then at a certain point you're like, well, because I can't do what that guy does, or I'm not doing what that guy does.
He's playing a different instrument. That's all. Yeah.
But because we're all comics, you think who gave them that?
Right.
And the thing is that you could write and produce television and do stand up, and you were making short films at the time, all at the same time.
Yes.
But what's happened now, and we can talk about it because it's interesting, because your evolution from what was basically an absurdist point of view, that when you started and all the way up to probably, not that long ago, your jokes were really, about ridiculous,
silly
poetry.
Yeah.
They were crass, and some of them were deep, but they were still not invested in your life.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
And at some point that turned, because I think your anger got to a level where you thought you were denying yourself
by
not engaging in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, so you were one of the original crew on the first Conan. You defined the original Conan O'Brien show with Dino and with Robert.
Yeah,
Jim,
Robert Smigel was the head writer, and that was what stopped the slide for me, because after that motorcycle accident, I just kept losing money and opportunities. And I remember I called you. It's funny when you're talking about things that you were there for, because you had moved to San Francisco.
Right.
You had this forward thinking of like, I want to actually live like a human being, and I don't want to live in this place where if I can't get two shows in a week, I'm literally starving to death.
Yeah.
So you moved to San Francisco and we're living like a person. And I had visited you out there and I loved the life you had. And then I went back to New York and I was doing Tony Camacho gigs.
But wait. Can I just put something in real quick?
Yeah.
You went to San Francisco, I think, and this is who Louis is. I think you bought a car off a comic. Didn't you? You bought a Trans Am.
I went to L.A. and I bought, because I was going to do L.A. and then I was going to do San Francisco. I bought a 68 Mustang.
But this was just a road trip, and
Yeah.
you bought a car.
I bought a car. But you know what? I don't regret that, because
No, it's not a matter of regret. It's just who you
I
are.
couldn't rent cars because I couldn't get credit for years.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't pull my life together.
you
to
bought
get
a car
credit.
with a- did you
I
buy
bought
a
a car. It cost me $1,100. It was a black 68 Mustang.
But
it was a
didn't you
beautiful
lose
car.
your credit because you bought a car with your Amex?
Yes, that's why I lost my credit, because I bought a BMW with an American Express card. And I had to give the car back, and everybody that was involved with it, the car dealer and Amex, were like, we're going to let you out of this, but you're never going to get a credit card again.
Right.
It took me, I finally got a credit card by getting one of those credit cards that you just pay money for.
I remember that.
And it rehabilitated me. It took
was-
me years to get a credit card.
And the other thing you did was you were locked out of your apartment once, so you got a room at the Ritz? Or
Yeah,
something like that?
I used my when I got an Amex card, I just became an idiot. Yeah, I couldn't get into my apartment, so I got a room at the Ritz-Carlton in Central Park. Yeah. And I stayed there for like 3 nights. And Amex isn't a credit card, you know. It's you got to pay every month.
Yeah, I know.
So I just couldn't. Yeah. There was 1 month that I just went. I bought a BMW. I stayed at the Ritz, and then
That was it?
yeah. And I was also on an installment plan with Amex for years to pay that back. I have an Amex card now. I don't know how they don't remember, but
You bought the Mustang for $1,100.
$1,100, and then I drove from L.A. to San Francisco. I was with a girl who wasn't fucking me, but she wanted to
know
go
who that
camping
was,
with
yeah.
me, and she and I drove around and camped. We bought 2 pup tents, and we drove around in a Mustang and went camping in like the Great Grand Canyon in fucking Utah, and it was a tremendous trip.
But you guys were at each other's throats,
We
right?
hated each other. When we got to Yosemite, and she was being so awful to me that I said, I'm taking you. She had somebody she was staying with in San Francisco.
Right.
And we were supposed to be there like in 5 days. I said, you're going to your friend's house today. And we got in the car and we drove through Yosemite all the way to San Francisco without speaking to each other.
Oh.
And we saw like fucking bears, you know,
Nothing.
fighting, and we couldn't talk to each other about it. But and she's now. I actually got emails from her last year, and I was really happy to hear from. She was a cool person now.
Yeah,
I think.
she
She's
is,
kids.
yeah.
We all have kids now, except for you. But
Okay.
So sorry. Anyway, this is your when I called you.
Yeah. At Conan.
Yeah, I wasn't doing well, and I was doing gigs in, like the Nanuet Holiday Inn.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Was it what was that, the Taunton Regency?
Taunton Regency. Well, I'd have to go up to Boston sometimes and did
Yeah,
those.
that's what we did,
But
yeah.
there was the New York equivalent, which
Right.
is like the Connecticut fucking
right.
whatever.
One-nighters.
And places like Ronkonkoma Comedy Club
Yeah.
in Long Island. I mean, just terrible. When everyone was shitting on comedy, it wasn't.
And you had to drive up to 4 or 5 hours to make $200, $250.
$200, and I was working a lot for a guy named Tony Camacho,
Yep.
who one night I worked Rascals Comedy Club in New Jersey,
Yeah.
middling for some guy for $100 a show.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, he paid me like $150 light of what he owed me.
Yeah.
And I said, "You owe me more," and he just laughed at me and said, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Come on, you need the work. What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Wow, you're just going to take my money." But he was right. I worked for him several times after that.
These guys are the gatekeepers.
No,
That's
they're
so-
amazing.
it's-
But so that's where I was at.
Right.
And then SNL had a huge turnover. Saturday Night Live threw out a huge amount of their cast. It was one of their biggest
That's when was that when I went in? Was it 95, 94?
Oh,
Earlier.
no, this
Right.
is 93.
Right.
Or summer of 93.
Right.
And everybody I knew got hired. Every single person. David
write?
Tell was a writer.
Yeah.
Jay Moore was a writer-performer. Sarah Silverman, writer-performer. Laura Keitlinger.
Yeah.
Janine Garofalo.
Yeah.
I mean, my entire generation of comics got hired in SNL. Everybody.
Yeah.
And I was at the same audition. I auditioned the same night. And I remember I was on first. They put me on fucking first. And Jon Stewart was hosting.
Right.
And Louis Ferranda, who ran the club then, the SNL people hadn't shown up. So
Right.
he said, I just want to start. Let's get going. And he told me to go on without them being there.
Yeah.
And I said, but they're not going to see me. And he said, we got to get going. I don't care. And I mean, I was crushed that I was just not going to get seen.
The gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Again.
So Jon Stewart was my friend, and he said, I'll do as long as I can.
Yeah.
And he did like 20 minutes to open, but then he kind of shrugged at me and said, I got to bring you up. And I went on, and the instant I went on, the SNL people came in. And not only did they come in at a bad time, they also fucked up my set because they were
The
huge.
seating. Yeah.
Big, it was like
Seating
12
them.
people.
Yeah.
But saving grace was that David Spade was in the group, and
Yeah.
he knew me. I didn't know him personally, but he liked my act, so he told him, sit down and watch this guy. And I saw him do it. And I had a great set. And then everybody else followed. And the next day, everybody found out who was hired. Everybody was hired, and I wasn't. And then I thought, this is it. I mean, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
And that's when you called me?
I called you in the middle of the night to ask you about San Francisco.
Yeah.
And whether I should move there. And I was questioning the whole career.
Yeah. And did I say anything helpful?
We talked till dawn.
Yeah.
And I think I unloaded on you that I didn't think I had any shot at anything anymore, and that I was really remorseful. But it's like coming out of prison. How do you back out of a comedy career?
Yeah.
I was 25 years old, and I had been doing stand-up since I was 18.
Yeah.
So I had no way,
Then no skills. No.
nothing to offer. Any other?
Except you could resurrect a dead computer.
Yeah, I could fix a computer or a car.
Or a car.
Or I could cover a football game for a cable station, you know? And so we talked about it. You told me about your life there, and I just thought, I'm not going to make it there either. And I hung up the phone intensely depressed.
Yeah.
And then my phone rang like 2 hours later. Like I got 2 hours sleep, and it was this guy. Hi, my name is Robert Smigel. I don't know if you've heard about the Letterman show going away, and Conan is this guy. And I didn't know any idea who Conan was. And he said, Jim Downey saw you at Catch. Jim Downey was running SNL then. And he said that you were funny, so I wanted to know if you had any writing samples.
Did you?
I had it. Well, I had short films I had made.
You had the ones
That I
with
just made on my
Shapiro
own dime.
and ice cream.
Yeah, all that kind of
That's
stuff.
available still on DVD, right?
No, but you can see it on YouTube. I just put it all on YouTube.
Oh, you
There's
don't
no way to
sell
make-
that DVD of
no,
the short films
No, because
anymore?
I had to just make that in my house. That
Yeah.
DVD.
I have one of those. Maybe I should hold on to
sell it. Yeah, but
Or maybe I think my ex-wife actually took that. She's a big fan.
oh, okay, good. Well, she could sell it then. Which ex-wife?
TV on the radio, Province.
History's a place
Mike Birbiglia with John Mulaney.
Guy John Mulaney. This is an introduction of all introductions. There's this guy John Mulaney. He is funnier than all of us. And I, of course, said, "Speak for yourself." But
absolutely. That's very nice of him to.
Well, it's a defensive stance. You're just like, I don't know this person, and he's funnier than me.
One, just tell me there's a guy. First off, that's new information.
Right.
Suddenly, I never heard of him. I never heard of this guy. There's a guy, and I now have to worry about him, or I don't even have to worry.
No, I
he's better than
know.
us?
It's a strange thing to be introduced to someone as. You're gonna have to worry about this guy.
You're gonna have to worry about.
Keep tabs on this guy.
Yeah.
It's like a mafia introduction.
It's
like,
if you don't watch your back, this guy's gonna. Yeah.
It's like, that's Tommy Tic Tacs. Keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on him. Yeah. He's a good earner. That's good. No, not for you. Oh, okay. Well, should we kill him in a brown car? Yeah.
I was thinking about how today, about when I was listening to this album, and I haven't listened to it in years. But I mean, this album, Two Drink Mike, was recorded October 18th, 2005. That's 12 years ago.
2005?
Yes, and it was released February 7th, 2006. And
cover art taken by Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah, I took that photo and
they didn't want that to be the cover
at a laundromat in Reno.
You had to fight for that, I remember.
Yeah, it's a selfie.
Yes.
It was before selfies were in vogue, and I was taking photos in a laundromat. And then it occurred to me that that's, in some ways, a great metaphor for this album. I was thinking if I renamed the album right now, it would be Portrait of an Artist as a Lonely Young Man. When I was listening to the album, I was like, what a sad 25-year-old man this was, who didn't have any idea what he was doing. He had no idea what he wanted to say, but he knew that he wanted to make jokes, and he wanted to travel the country and see the world and meet people and be funny.
I think you knew what you wanted to say. You had to start micro.
Mm-hmm.
But you wanted to talk about macro things. That every joke is that. Like, it's a joke about MTV Cribs, but it's not. It's a joke about human loneliness and why people like you and if they really like you.
You know,
but I bet on your set list it said MTV Cribs. And I bet it might have even come out of a joke of other MTV shows and you cut all those parts and just did Cribs.
I was watching the show Cribs on MTV. The rappers will like show you their house. This rapper's like, this is my crib, this is my ride, these are my hoes. I am rolling. But I want to see when the cameras leave and the rapper's like, but I'm dying inside. Sure, these hoes are fun, but at a certain point in a man's life, he wants love. I mean, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and my snakeskin comforter, and I wonder whether any of these people would still be my friends if I were still a backup dancer. I love this rap. Jay-Z, this rapper I love because he's so good at rapping. Sometimes he doesn't even rhyme. He'll just end the lines with "Izza." That's great, man. He'll be like, I went down the street and I saw my scissor. Was it to my nuzzer and my brother and my gizzer? I'm like, I'm pretty sure none of those are words. I ain't playing Scrabble with Jay-Z anytime soon. The word is drizza, D-R-I-Z-Z-A-H, triple word. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna challenge that one, Jay. I'm gonna consult my dictionary. First of all, it's not a word. Second of all, one of your Z's is a sideways hand. I like Buster Rhymes because he'll have a good rhyme. He'll just say his name afterwards. He'll be like, Cat in the Hat, and that was that. Buster Rhymes. I'd like to do that with jokes. Like, I like drinking coffee, but if I ever reach a point in my life where the best part of waking up is Folgers in my cup, I'm not sure I want to wake up. Mike Birbiglia.
The thing about listening to an old album, especially of your own, I mean, it's like looking through a photo album where you just go, oh, God. And then some of them you're like, oh, everyone looks nice and happy.
Funny.
What a great time.
But you probably remember less of it because you have to, like, store your memories some ways.
The album has sort of a mosaic quality, or as I put it, like it's all over the place. Like it's just like, this idea, and this idea too.
Yeah.
And then this other thing.
Yeah, but they're all similar.
Yeah.
In a good way, I mean.
Well, it's funny.
You don't belong.
Yeah,
And,
sure. Alienation, feeling alone, feeling like when you date people, it's terrible.
But what I like is it's like, actually, you don't loathe yourself. You like your interests and you like your personality. You just recognize that it yields a lower number of potential romantic partners. That's how I took it.
That's a very succinct way to put it.
You like the way you roll in it. You like wildlife shows.
I like that I sit in hotel rooms and watch wildlife shows and play guitar.
I'm always in these hotels, and I always watch a lot of television. I always watch these nature documentaries. I always feel bad for the smaller animals because I feel like I know more stuff than they do. Like, I feel like I'm at a bank heist, and I'm the guy in the van watching on the monitor, and they're like, the Arctic fox has only one known predator, the polar bear. And I'm like, Arctic fox is a setup. Get out of there. Cracker, please, to Arctic fox. Cracker, please, to Arctic fox. Put down the salmon and walk out of the building. This year I got to go to Alaska. It's weird because there's a lot of bears in Alaska, and there's so many that they give you pamphlets just in case you get attacked by a bear, and they tell you to play dead, and that seems like a real gamble. There's like a bear clawing you in the head, and you gotta be like, yeah, I think this plan's working out. Sure, I'm getting clawed in the head now, but I gotta be thinking long term. Just a few more minutes. That's a lot of blood. Bear's like, he doesn't think I think he's dead, does he? Probably read the pamphlet. And it's so scary, when you're in these places, because with the different bears, you got to know the different strategies. With brown bears, you got to play dead, and black bears, you got to run down a hill, and polar bears, you got to hand them sunglasses and a Coke, and it's like it's like school, It's like bear school.
I don't know if you remember this, but the polar bear tag in that joke, you wrote for me.
That's mine?
Dude,
oh my God!
Here's
how egotistical I am. I laughed so loud at that in my apartment today. I was like, "Oh, that's great! Sunglasses and a Coke."
Ridiculous.
That's really funny.
Years later, you were writing for Saturday Night Live, and you called me, and you go, "Hey, sunglasses and a Coke with a polar bear. Did that make it on the album?"
That's
because
called
I'm
burning.
I'm gonna do a bit. Unless if not, I'm gonna put it on the show or put into something.
It's gonna be in a bit.
And people bash SNL for the stealing stuff all the time, which I do not. I find those attacks to be mostly unfounded. Obviously, there's the stories like Jay Moore in the '90s and this and that, but like I find that my friends like you who've written for SNL are so nerdy about not stealing jokes.
Yeah.
In that instance, you're calling me to be like, I remember this joke, and I just want to make sure that this isn't on an album of yours, so that if I do it, it's not taking away from what you did.
Yeah, I think I wanted it for like a Stefan or something.
Oh, okay.
Like I was that was at a point in the week when you'd be burning the furniture, as Lorne Michaels would say. I said there was something we were going to do, and I said, well, I'm saving that for February when so-and-so hosts.
Oh, my gosh.
And he looked at me and he said, sometimes you have to burn the furniture.
Oh, my God, is that funny?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to burn the furniture.
So
such a great line.
I'd call people like you. I'd call people that I'd written with at Important Things with Dimitri Martin. I'd call Nick. I'd call anyone and be like, did this make it? Is this somewhere where...
Oh, my gosh.
Is this somewhere, which was another way of saying, can I have it back?
We're talking partly because you introduced me on the album. Please welcome Mike Birbiglia.
I hate my introduction.
Please put your hands together for Mr. Mike Birbiglia, everybody.
Well, I like your introduction. I appreciate you doing it.
I sound so different, and I sound so much older back then because I smoked cigarettes every day.
Oh my gosh,
all day
that's
long.
so funny.
And I had a
you.
sinus infection for like 15 years, and I don't think I knew about it. And so I hear that of like, please welcome Mike Birbiglia, and then I say everybody, and I hate that I say everybody.
I think
Mike Birbiglia, everybody. Why everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Birbiglia. That should be
agreed. And then also, no, agreed that I'm not saying critical of you. I'm saying
Agreed,
on
of course,
all comedy.
finally.
No, on all comedy albums, there should either be no introduction or there should be a brief. Please welcome Mike Birbiglia. The thing that kills me is the ending, where one more time John comes back on. One more time for Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna come.
Why did I come back up?
No, that's a convention of American stand-up comedy clubs, and it drives me nuts. Is the host of the show, the least qualified comedian on the show, returns to the stage, and they say, "Hey guys, give it up for Mike Birbiglia one more time. That's not good enough. I swear to God, what kills me is when comedians come on.
Yeah.
The MC comes on after an hour of comedy that someone has honed over years and years and years.
Not always.
Not always.
Sometimes you actually do need to say, come on, goddammit, keep it going.
And Keith Robinson
at the Comedy Cellar always says, clap, damn it.
Keep it going,
Keep it going,
goddammit.
goddammit. I remember I was waiting in the hallway with a towel at the cellar, and he goes, I don't need the goddammit.
So,
clap, damn it.
But I hope comedy club owners listening to this across America, please, and I've been doing this on my tour when I'm preparing the new one tour in clubs, is get rid of the hosts coming out at the end. When the headlining comedian ends their set, please do this. Please. You have the lights come up. They say thank you. The headliner says thank you. They exit. I sound like Todd Glass. Like I'm instructing.
Oh my God, you are.
I'm
and I
instructing.
like little candles. I told him, turn down the lights. Just make it nice. Turn down the lights a little. Is that so much to ask? To have them do it? No one's arguing with him. To put out and have little drinks.
By the way, this album was recorded in Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Improv, where I started off in college as a door person. And is a great club, first of all.
Fantastic.
One of the great American comedy clubs. I was so lucky because when I came...
Neal Brennan with Charlie Murphy.
Around? Didn't you tell me that?
I never carried a chain around. I used to just get over with socking people in the face. It was very efficient.
It does. That is very
a well-delivered
efficient.
punch puts them on their back, and then
Were you a good student?
No, I could have been a good student, but I was misdirected. When I became a good student, when I went to the military, that's when I realized. I actually remember going, "Wow, you're not stupid," because I actually applied myself, and it was, things were not hard, nowhere near as hard as I thought they would be.
I had the same experience when I dropped out of school. I was like, "Oh, you're not an idiot."
The gang I was in was funny. Everybody in the gang was 15 and under, and the leader was 25. So basically,
a true winner.
No one noticed. His name was Rocky.
That's funny.
He'd have everybody meet him at a certain spot at a certain time of the day, and we had to bring dues, And whoever don't got their dues, he'd have the other gang members beat them up. But then you realize, I realized anyway, Rocky was taking the dues money and buying wine with it. And I was like, wait a minute. So he has his own lineup, and then we give him dues, and then he goes and buys Thunderbird with the money. I'm not showing up to no more.
And what was the point of the gang? Was just you were just a gang.
I think that he
to
was
buy Rocky Thunderbird.
To buy Rocky Thunderbird. That was his. Rocky just assembled this group of guys that were rough or whatever, and gave him a name and a sense of camaraderie, because that's what gangs are, And then he just took advantage of that.
Did you drop out of the gang by baking him a doo-doo pie?
No. I dropped out of the gang by my mother telling me, you're out of the gang. Either you out of the gang or, you have to get out the house. So I'd rather have somewhere to sleep at night.
And you were still in high school?
Yeah. I had to run for a whole year, man.
Did you ever?
See my legs,
from
man.
Rocky?
I had legs of steel. I was jumping over. Edwin Moses couldn't do nothing.
Oh, you were like they were coming after you?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
to
man.
be
Yes.
in the gang?
Yes. You're supposed to get a rollout special when you leave the gang. I wasn't getting no rollout special.
What's the rollout
if
special?
You get the rollout special.
A rollout special. That means that they get you and they hold your arms back behind you like this, and they get the biggest guys in the gang, and they throw body shots.
They beat you in and beat you out
till they get tired. Okay, it's a rollout special.
Can you defend yourself? I guess
they hold your arms back like this, and then they got these big guys going to the body till they get tired.
How many guys were in the gang?
Several, enough to break your ribs.
But like 20.
That was more than that. It was
Oh, all right. So like,
that's a lot of Thunderbird.
It was
30,
like the
40
Warriors.
guys. Yeah, it was a big gang. Yeah. But I think about the type of gang that I was in compared to the gangs now. It feels like you're talking about. Yes, and I started in West Side Story.
Yeah. Well, think about your gang as
When
compared.
we had a beef, we danced it off. You know?
Think about your gang compared to the Crips or
Come on,
Bloods
man,
now,
no comparison,
and then
no comparison.
then go all the way down to my gang. It's like the same differential. So we were like
Right.
truly
But yours
pathetic.
was in the 90s legally.
Like compared to what these cats is doing now, man. Come on, man. No
Yeah,
comparison.
what were you were just literally giving? You were buying wine. That
Put
was,
it like this: nobody in my gang was a murderer. Okay,
Right.
Nobody in my gang shot anybody that I can remember. Nobody in my gang got shot.
Right.
So when I think about the gang bangers now, these guys are much more serious than we were. You know, the most you see was maybe a little knife play every now and then, but mostly it was hands.
So you would see guys get stabbed. I've never seen anybody get stabbed.
Yeah, I've seen people get stabbed. I've seen myself get stabbed.
Oh, you've been stabbed? Tell us that story.
Do tell.
By a girl.
Okay.
One of my
I've stabbed a
girlfriends-
couple
one of my
girls.
girlfriends
Come
stabbed
on.
me.
I can't have sex anyway since I
One of
got
my
shot in the
girlfriends
dick
stabbed
in
me,
that
man.
grocery store in
And one of those Shell
2013.
steak knives. Them when Shell was giving it, get a free steak knife with 5 gallons of gas from Shell. And they had these, her father apparently bought 5 gallons from Shell. She had the knife, and what happened was I have an older friend. His name was Billy Walls, and he was like a neighborhood. I don't know, the neighborhood stud or whatever. He was the type of guy that not only did he have sex with the girls our age or whatever, he was banging their moms too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how he was pulling it off, but he was the guy that was doing it.
That's Billy Walls.
And Billy Walls today has like 25 children.
Of course, yeah.
He was very popular with the ladies, and he used to tell me all of his stories. You know, like who he did last night, and how he did them. And then one day he was telling me a story, and I realized the story he was telling me about was my own girlfriend.
Yeah, like that's cool, Billy Walls.
Get a girlfriend,
He
and
said
they
she kept
all
on-
want you.
And she was yelling my name out on every stroke. Billy Walls, Billy Walls. That really messed me up psychologically. I was like, wow, I don't want to hear no more of this story. So
What detail let you know it was your girlfriend?
her name, how about that? Her name.
Oh, that's
a good
we
detail.
all knew her. He said her whole first and last name. I mean, I think that would make me know
Yeah,
that
that's
he's talking
pretty
about the
clear.
same person. He said,
all right.
yeah, remember so and so last
Oh,
name?
no, I ain't heard of that bitch.
And I remember, I hadn't seen her that night before. So then I talked to her on the phone, and she was acting like nothing happened. And I told her, I know what happened. It's over, blah, blah, blah. And then she felt that she deserved to stab me after that.
So she stabbed you
she
because
stabbed
she
you.
fucked
Yeah,
Billy
man,
Walls?
yeah, because I found out she was yelling, Billy Walls, Billy Walls.
Well, maybe that guy was lying.
Nah, Billy Walls is telling the truth.
He got photographic evidence.
That's Billy Walls.
Billy
man.
Walls,
Billy
was
Walls
not
doesn't
lying.
need to lie.
Billy Walls is the kind of guy on your way home from school, you see him looking out the top window of someone's house with his shirt off, and mother's in the background.
Yeah.
Mother's in the back, not the daughter. The mother's in the background.
All right, so then
smoking a Newport.
all right, so then when did you go to the military? Wait, you went to
85,
jail, correct?
I went to jail first. Yeah.
What did you go
what?
to jail for?
Being
A
stabbed.
million little shits. No, it was a million little shits. Like a bunch of misdemeanors that added up to. Now you have to stay with us.
What? They said you should come and stay with us.
You should come and stay with
How
us.
old were you, 18?
For 1 year, son. Yeah, I was 17 when the shit happened, but I was 18 when I got, actually the year I had to spend.
What were the petty things?
Possession of burglars' tools, petty theft, stuff like that.
What are
Robbery-
burglars' tools?
Like a stethoscope to listen to a
burglars'
skit.
tools, like shit you use to steal.
What were
Like
you?
what?
What it was?
Like a lead
I
pipe?
I got caught with one of those. It was a Christmas box wrapped up. It was hollow. It looks like a gift,
Right.
but there's nothing in it. I got caught with one of those. So
How is that a fucking?
Wait, you were
that's
in the
illegal
box?
to have that, man.
You were in the
It's
box like a
illegal.
No, I was
Trojan
getting
horse
ready to
kinda
put some
thing?
radios in that motherfucker. Put some shit in
Oh,
it.
okay.
It was illegal. That's illegal to have. That's a burglar's tool, man.
Whoa.
You can't have no
this whole-
fake box that gift wrap with nothing in it and walk into a department store. You just crap.
This whole shit is so old school, It's like
You
Thunderbird.
can't- I don't
and
think
like
people still do that. I hope
hollowed
Yeah, but
out
I don't even
gifts.
know. You would go and what were you gonna? Oh, you were gonna put.
stuff into the box. There you
Got
go.
it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
some-
a burglar's tool, man.
Oh, so like shoplifter.
Yeah.
That's
I was good, man. I never got caught shoplifting.
Except that one.
When
You
you
I got
with
caught
boxes.
with. I got caught when I
Burglars
thought I
too.
was so good that I was going to take other people and train them. That's when I got caught. It's idiots.
You were gonna.
I told you not to do that, but you did it anyway. Look at us now. Ka-chink, chink.
I was a huge shoplifter myself. I loved shoplifting.
I gave it up, man.
I felt real proud of myself.
It's a very stressful way to make a living.
Yeah, all my friends would take advantage of me for it too. Because they knew that I was good at it, so they would use my bad self-esteem to make me steal stuff for them. They'd be like, "Oh, come on, Moshe, you're the best. You're the only one that can do it." And I'd be like, "Oh, really?" And so I go steal them booze, and then I got busted. I got busted one time, and they all just immediately turned and walked away. Super embarrassing.
Very
in
embarrassing.
the store.
Anyway,
right outside.
Everyone's looking at you.
Your uncle actually told me that they have to see you take it.
You have to leave the store.
Uncle Ray told me that they have to see you.
You can't
take
go by
it.
what Uncle Ray said.
Well, that's what I'm.
He's not exactly a lawyer or even a real police officer.
He's not even. Wasn't he?
He was school safety, man. So he only can tell you what can happen at a school. You can't. If that takes place at a school, he might know that.
I think he said he was a security officer for 30 years.
At school.
But it is true that they have to wait outside. You have to leave the
You got to walk out with
threshold.
it. I'm saying they know when you're doing it because they seen you. There's cameras everywhere, man.
Right.
They seen you. It's not about. It's not if they seen you. They did see you. Every inch of that store is.
Well, especially now.
Yeah.
What was the best thing? The biggest thing you stole?
Stores. Like, you know what the biggest thing was? Back then they used to have it was much more lax, and people were more trusting, So back then you could go into a store with a bunch of girls, and there'd be one guy working in like a Radio Shack,
right?
And he's 19, he's by himself,
right?
That's what? Come on, man. Go in there with some fine girls. They start talking, flirting with him. While he's talking to the girl, somebody goes in the back, opens the back door, and you do the whole inventory.
The whole inventory was
the whole
the biggest
inventory
thing
while he's in the front rapping to the chick. Fill up a truck, man.
Wow,
Yeah.
we never did anything that big. We would go into the store, and one of us would steal the booze or the cigarettes or whatever, and then the other one would go up to the checker and say at Safeway and be like,
Wouldn't it be funny as I'm saying this, you start seeing police cars pulling up. You heard it on the podcast.
He would walk up to the checker and ask them, "Do you guys sell bird cages?" And no Safeway ever has sold bird cages, but for some reason we thought that would give us a reason to leave. They'd be like, "No, we don't have bird cages." And be like, "Okay," and then that's what would be our reason for coming in, not buying anything, and leaving, because we were really there looking for a bird cage.
That was in your book, and I actually agree with that.
With the idea,
yeah, like the idea of asking for something, because you don't know where they sell. Maybe they do sell bird cages,
but they don't.
So you would clear out. So you would have to.
We did that. Yeah, that happened a couple times.
Rent a truck.
Rent a truck. Steal the truck.
That's
You're
like
a
a
criminal,
rental.
man. Criminals don't pay bills, man. You steal the truck. Everything is stolen, man. That's why I got out of that life, man. It's just too much stress. You're scared on the way over there because the truck is stolen. Before you even do anything, the truck is stolen. You're in a stolen. Then you're in the truck with stolen goods, and the truck is stolen.
And you know how.
And then the people that are in the truck are stupid. They're drug addicts or whatever. They start freaking out. All of that it's really high stress, man.
Did you have a crew, or it was just?
Yeah, it was crew. It was the same people that
It's King Pythons, man.
It wasn't King Pythons. It was a whole different.
There was a second.
These
thing.
guys wasn't
Sorry.
gangbangers. They was just like criminals, man.
How long did you do it for?
Maybe 3-4 years. Yeah.
Oh, just straight up, you were a criminal.
100%.
And you were going to school?
Yeah. And then when I went to the military, it took like 2 years for that whole psyche to leave, like that whole way of thinking. I was the kind of guy that if I met you, if I was being nice to you, it was for a reason. It wasn't to be a friend. It was like I'm trying to roll you over. You know what I'm saying? How can I get over on this person? Yeah. And then you start getting in touch with other environments, and you realize that that's not the only way to
Well,
live.
you know what's funny? All right, because you talked about, first of all, you had interesting jail stories. Explain to people what the talking on the telephone is.
Oh yeah, they blow the bowl out and talk to the toilet. I never did that, man.
Yeah, explain to people what that is, because the listeners may not know what that is.
Well, lockup is on. They might know that. No, anyway, people blow the water out the toilet bowl and they put their face in there. And they have a conversation with someone else who has their face in their toilet.
That's funny.
It's talking shit at a premium.
And they were called talking on the phone.
It's called talking
It would
shit.
amaze me that they would do that and they would act like they're really getting over. Like, I don't want to talk to nobody that bad, son. I seen a lot of things in there that, I was like, come on, man, really?
Tell us.
I remember one time this female inmate this was an ugly chick too. that nobody would give two winks at in the street. Took her underwear off and threw them on the guard walk. And 8 men dove on and started fighting like alligators over the drawer. Hush, hush, hush. Oh, some funky inmate panties, man.
That's hilarious.
These guys must all have life, the way they acted. Yeah, man.
Was it like rapey and shit? Was it gross?
Rape? Nah, there was no rape when I was there. No, I seen a dude get the jammy put on his face, though.
A what now?
He got shanked?
A dick put on his face. He came and he sat down. And another guy came out and put his dick on his cheek, man. I see.
Did the guy? Can you explain the scenario? Where was
started
it?
a fight though.
You don't say.
He didn't let the guy get away with it. I seen that happen, man.
Where the guy was in the
guy came. They have you on a tier, right? So everyone knows if I come on a tier, whatever, about 2 or 3 days, you know me, whatever. So everybody's on the tier. The new guy came on. He was his first day. He came and he put his bunk there, the little bed rolled down, and he sat down at one of the tables. And then this other guy just came right out, put his dick on his cheek, man.
He's like, oh, there's a new dude. Let's do the dick cheek.
Yeah, let's do the dick on the cheek.
Did it take like
the old dick on the cheek game?
It was instant. Soon as he sat down like this.
That's great that dude's mind works so quickly. He's like, new inmate, take out my dick.
I guess I'm home sweet. Oh, look.
Home sweet dick.
Dick on the cheek,
he
man.
held his dick to the guy's face, and then the guy turned.
Put it on his face, man. He went over there and put it on his face.
And then the guy turned and was like, "Yeah, what the fuck is that?"
The guy jumped up. They started having a hell of a fight, man.
And the guy's dick was still out?
I've ever seen on him.
Dick was out
while they were fighting?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think you should deserve that for what he did. Man.
Absolutely.
You definitely deserve to get beat up.
The guy who got the dick put on his cheek, he represented, but I'm still sure that he doesn't feel satisfied.
He doesn't tell the story.
He'll never feel satisfied.
Right. He doesn't feel triumphant.
He'll never be able to beat that guy long enough, man.
All right. So, and then you got out of jail.
Yeah.
And you went into.
Never went back. 'Cause that's what's up.
Yeah. All right. And then you went into the. You
to
went
the Navy.
How do you get from jail to the Navy?
There was a couple guys that put dicks on cheeks
Walked
in the
down the
Navy
street
too, right?
and signed up. Huh?
Literally just
in
walked.
the Navy. Yes, that happens in the Navy, man.
A couple dick cheek games in the
I'm not
Navy.
gonna front. The Navy. Think about it. Those guys that go underwater for long times or whatever. Guys volunteer for that duty. So
Yeah. So there's
a high incidence of dick on the cheek.
It's an epidemic, man. It's a naval epidemic. Dick on the cheek.
Operation Dick on the Cheek.
Operation Dick on the
Operation Stop Dick on the Cheek.
And did you in what was the name of the town you guys grew up in?
I grew up in Brooklyn partially and in Roosevelt, Long Island.
All right, and were there? So was Navy like the first time you spent a lot of time with white people?
Very first time.
And what was your
I'm gonna
first
be honest,
impression?
because when I went to school, they had busing, so I was going to an all black school, and I got.
Thank you, folks, for listening. Tune in next week for more podcasts of all podcasts.
finding you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. But I know. So close, no matter how far. It couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. And nothing else matters. Never cared for what they do. Never cared for what they know. But I know. I never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it